Lively Gaming here, and today we're playing Dragonheir Silent Gods. For today's video, I'm going to do an updated guide on the Flame Domain Season 1 since all of the big updates. Today's video is sponsored by Dragonheir Silent Gods, my favorite sponsor because it's my favorite game that I've played in a long time. Be sure to join us for Season 3, Dive Deep, Battle Peak. There's a ton of new heroes, new bosses, and lots to explore. Be sure to download via Android, iOS, Mac, PC, Steam, or Epic Games if you haven't already, and use the currently working promo codes. Alrighty, so there's been a lot of changes to the Season 1 experience for a new player, and I have to say it's wonderful. It's so much fun, and I really hope they continue these changes through Season 2 and Season 3. So this is one of the harder dungeons to tackle early on, so it's one that I wanted to get to early in this bit of a series. So I'm on my free-to-play account right now, and we've already done a video for Grave of Venom, and that one is already on my channel. I'm gonna do videos for all the domains, all the dungeons, etc. But I wanted to start with some of the priorities like Grave of Venom, Flame Domain, and I already have a video on Goblin Lair as well. But this is an interesting dungeon because it was always so hard to deal with early on because it needs some very specific hero roles. So let's get in here and talk about that. For reference, I am on day 12 of this free-to-play account, but I'm a little bit behind, honestly. I was really busy with IRL stuff, being a new mama to a newborn baby, and we had our christening and birthday parties, and yeah, I'm just really behind, so don't judge my very slow progress overall. That's a whole nother story. So anyway, part of this though, I have to say, I really like the way they've done the domains at the moment. They've added a whole new currency, so we're going to talk about that. But before we even go into the domain, I want to point out something that's really, really wonderful for Season 1 now. So there is the Gift of New Life event. This might sound familiar if you played already, because this had Martina as a free, bonus hero. All you have to do is purchase any bit of Dragon Crystal for the first time, and you get the Gift of New Life blessing as a reward. So honestly, you just have to purchase anything from the shop, $1. If you purchase the $1 epic selector chest where you can choose any epic hero in the game, which is absolutely a top value that everyone should buy. I'm just not doing it for the sake of calling this free to play. You actually get V-Cook along with that now because he's a bonus with topping up for the first time. V-Cook here is so good. So he is huge and amazing for the Flame Domain. Even in this season where poison is paired with fire and it's weak for the Flame Domain, you don't want to bring in the same element for the most part. You can get away with your supports being the same element as long as they have good survivability to keep them alive. So don't be afraid to bring V-Cook into the Flame Domain, guys. You just might have to give him some more defense or HP so he doesn't die. But V-Cook has a dispel of 2 debuffs from each ally and heals them. Full board, guys, full board. And then there's extra healing based on dispelling debuffs. He also brings attack penalty on his battle skill and accuracy penalty with the passive. But he's so good for this dungeon and he's practically free. So that's just something I wanted to shout out before we even got into here and talked about it. So the Flame Domain. The domains and the dungeons now have 12 stages. So for the first couple, you can only get rare and basic crystals. Then you get the epic crystals here, the fire crystal gem 3. Then the purple ones, they come at 6, 7, 8. And then 9 is when you start getting the fancier versions of them. The Augite. This is for getting your heroes beyond to 5-star, which is like the level 90 plus. And that's 9, 10, 11, and 12. Excuse the yawn, I'm sorry. Alright, so you can see it's a set amount of stuff you get for every level, so it's very clear. If you want to know exactly how many you need to do, you don't have to question it anymore. You can run exactly how many things you need to run in order to level up the heroes you're trying to level up. So I really like that they changed that as well. This is one of the big changes, so I really wanted to point that out first. But all right, let's go into the very beginning one because that shows us the tips. When you view the info here, you're going to see that this recommends debuff immunity or dispel of debuffs. And that is because this boss places burn. And the burn triggers AoE damage as well around the allies. So you actually have to space out your heroes, and positioning is really important. So let's go through the kit first though. So burn. Basic attacks have an 80% chance of inflicting burn on the target. So your tank is going to get burned a lot. Cannot control this boss like usual. The first two skills are the same. Burn to all enemies, inflicting 3 stacks. Same here. And the ultimate deals damage to all enemies, consuming all burn immediately. So it's like a burn explosion. And yeah, that can do a lot of damage. So you really, ideally when it comes to this boss, you want to be able to get a cleanser to be faster than this 18, or at least at an 18-second interval with the timing, which could be Vikuk or Enna, using like the epic incense burner as an artifact to speed up their ultimate, for example. They can go ahead and time it so that way right before the boss goes, you know, like do like 17.5 seconds or something, you have them cleanse to get rid of the burns that these other skill have placed, so there is no burn by the time this is here. All right, that's kind of the key. You want to make sure there's no burn left by there. So that's that's really what this is all about. I haven't pushed very high in this myself on this account yet because I have not built anyone to cleanse. So it is what it is. I don't have Enna built. I don't even know if I have Enna. I think I do. But I don't have Vikuk because I didn't do that purchase yet, and I didn't get lucky pulling him yet, but that's okay. The legendary versions would be like Asilia or Ogak are really good for this as well. But let me go ahead and show you what people are using. So when you check lineup recommendations, you can really see that people are doing a pretty good job here, even without a perfectly set up team to deal with that. You're gonna see Enna. She's here because of her dispel of debuffs. She's really great for this dungeon. You're gonna see Fitz because he's a really great tank. On his ultimate here, he transfers all the debuffs that are on the allies to himself, and then it grants him additional healing. But if you give him resistance, then he doesn't actually take all those debuffs. He just removes them. So he just becomes a cleanser if you give him resistance. So keep that in mind. The only thing I would say is Fitz can be a bit squishy. His base stats kind of suck. And he's not the best for the highest level of content. But as you can see here, some people are using him. So look at the first one. This is a team that a lot of people would be able to do. It's kind of random with the DPS, so it's not even important because, like, Rava is a frost hero. She should probably be with another frost hero. Zarloth, yeah, I don't know. Like, it's an interesting team. It doesn't really go together, but it's working. It's who they had built, and it worked. So that's kind of funny to see. But Fitz is definitely a key here, and they have him in just whatever. Which doesn't make... This team doesn't make sense, and this build doesn't make sense, but it still worked, obviously. So that's something kind of fun to see. And a lot of people have... Everyone has Charlach, so it's fun to see teams with him involved. Alright, down here, we're gonna see the same... Hexandra's nice because she does a little bit of dispel of debuff here, with her battle skill at least. But that's only one, so it's not ideal. But we do have Enna. Oh, and Catherine's another great one because she can grant debuff immunity to heroes. So if you have someone with debuff immunity, you have them go right after the ultimate instead of before it and prevent the debuffs from the first and second skill. So you want to go right before the first skill that applies burn, although basic attacks can apply burn as well, but you know, at least At least you want to prevent the other skills from applying 3 at once. This is a good way to do it. But I think overall, Enna to cleanse or Fitz to cleanse or both is going to be a huge key. This is a really great budget team down here using Fitz, Usha, the Adventurer with a Frost set. That's going to give you a good survivability, keep in mind as well. And yeah, let me check this box. We could see a little bit more of that. A lot of people using Usha as their main DPS because they go so well with the Frost setup here. So Usha as the DPS, Fitz as a cleanser, Enna as a cleanser, and the Traveler. This one's a pretty solid team. And you're going to see that this one has Catherine though, but you can do it without. Like this one has a Megan in the team. This one has a Irina. So very, very attainable with budget heroes. So I really like to see that. So this is, I want to take some time here so you guys can really take a look at who's working and why they're working. But I'm going to show you my team. Again, my team is not ideal. It's just whoever I had built at the time. And you can see everyone is spaced out. So we are spaced out because of the burn doing damage to surrounding targets. So remember, that's just the way burn works. Deals AoE damage to the enemy and its adjacent tiles every 6 seconds. So you don't want to put them on top of each other. That would be an issue. So ideally, to make this team that I have a little bit better, I would probably bring in a Fitz instead of Elvis. And I would bring in an Enna if I okay, I do have an Enna now. So maybe an Enna instead of Isotarian, and we'd probably be good to go. This team would probably be just fine with Charlach and Zarloth. Or maybe instead of Zarloth, I put in Isotarian for double summoners and more damage. There's lots of options here. But I'm going to go ahead and run my team as is. But that is what you probably should do, guys. Use someone like Fitz. But hey, if it works, it works. It's just not going to get... My team is not going to get me to the end because it's not well built. Like it's not fully... checking all the boxes, I should say. It's not checking the boxes. And in this case, you're not going to want to have like Horus as your tank for very long because they take more damage. This is the fire domain, the flame domain. So flame and poison take more damage and do less damage with this as a run. So you don't want your tank to die. If Sigrid was your main DPS, she's going to do a lot less damage, so you don't want that either. So those are just things to keep in mind. So let's go ahead here and just run my little team. I mean, I don't even have gear on these people, so let me adjust, and I'm just going to do a run just so we can see it, even though it's not ideal. Alrighty. So I'm going to full auto this. I'm not going to worry about timings, but what I'm going to show you with the timing is when we get to the boss. I'm just going to go over what I already had said regarding our skills. So this is going to be something that works at a low level like 8, but trying to farm for the higher level currency is going to be more difficult until I get higher level heroes. You can just blast through and not have all the things that check the boxes once you have more maxed out heroes. When you have some 5 stars, level 95s, level 100s, you can get away with just blasting through these dungeons and just kind of out damaging them. But early on, you actually need to worry about the mechanics a little bit more, or you're really going to struggle. If you have too many melee heroes, keep in mind they're going to be bunched together at the boss, and that means they're going to do extra splash damage because of the way burn works, so that could actually hurt you. So keeping them spread out is ideal. So right now, if I had a cleanser, I would pop the cleanser right anytime now in between these two skills to get rid of these burns on my heroes. Boom. And see, look at people die without doing that. Right now, before this skill, I would pop someone with debuff immunity so they can cover these 2 skills as well. But you can see, look at how hard this is without the proper stuff. I don't even know what I had done before. This obviously is not the best team. It's not even going to work. So I was only farming 7, not 8. That's why. That makes sense. This was not one I could even complete because I'm not doing the correct things. It just shows you how important it is to deal with the debuffs versus this boss. So keep that in mind, guys. I'm not, again, I really think the ideal team, I have enough people to make an ideal team with Enna at least in there. Honestly, Enna's probably good enough, just Enna. But the other thing to keep in mind when it comes to timings, if you want to go ahead and make a team and have timings, you have to remember that this boss has a set skill set, right? Like it's 18-second rotation, but you have waves before you get to the boss. So you can't always guarantee that by the time you get to the boss, it's gonna be doing the perfect rotation because the waves are gonna affect that. Now, maybe that's something that's here. Separate timings on continuous stages. I don't even know. This was something I've still have yet to use. It seems to not matter either way, so I don't know exactly what this one's for. But yeah, maybe that actually is correct to allow you to have the exact perfect timing for the boss, and it would hold it for there. But I don't know. It doesn't seem like it, honestly. But this is a little hard to do timings with because of that. So having 2 cleansers or ways to deal with the debuffs instead of just one is ideal because timings, if you want to full auto the whole run, are not going to always work out. Now, the timings, like I mentioned initially, multiple times in the video, you can do manually. So that's something I used to do on my previous accounts. Maybe I have to do it on this one too, is using someone like Enna. I would manually do her ultimate right before the ultimate, her ultimate before the boss's ultimate. Every time I just did it on manual once we got there, and I held her skill with the last wave so it'd be ready for the boss. Like stuff like that is just, if you can't overpower it or you don't have enough coverage, then you just have to manual at the end of the day and try to get the best stuff possible. But all right, guys, I guess that's really the key for this. Keep in mind you could always search for what you're looking for. If you were trying to do, I guess I'll do all elements. You could search for stuff here. You could search for this. So if you're like, okay, who do I have that dispels debuffs? This is who I have that dispels debuffs, but that might not be on all heroes. It might only be on themselves. So make sure you actually read the kit. Who do we have that puts up debuff immunity? So that's a buff. So let's say debuff immunity. I only have her, and she only does it on one target. So not ideal. It's only one ally. So that wouldn't cover me completely, but it'll help, right? It'll help. So just use the filters, take advantage of it, learn your heroes in manual when you need to, and you will be better off. Also, one thing I should mention finally is when it comes to burn, you can resist the burns. So if you want to build your team with resistance to resist the burns, you can do that. You can even use some extra consumables to get there if you're having trouble. So don't forget about consumables if you're trying to resist. So it does say recommend resistance 70. So that's something else to consider if you don't have Enna or Fitz or VCook or any way to deal with all of those burns and debuffs. This is something you can do. Instead, just throw a resistance chest on your heroes and you'll be good to go. But alright guys, this has been the video for the Flame Domain. I hope this was helpful. Thanks you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Be sure to download via Android, iOS, Mac, PC, Steam, or Epic Games if you haven't already. And thanks again to Dragonheir Silent Gods for sponsoring today's video.